you would wonder, were you terribly spiritual? What on earth has the Middle East done? What has Syria done? What has Damascus done? What has Iraq done that would create such a holocaust of events going on now with no end in sight? The dropping of sarin gas by Bashar Assad's forces, aided by Vladimir Putin and the Russian troops that are in that region fighting elbow to elbow against ISIS, a day or so ago, dropped the sarin gas upon innocents there, and we've seen the horrible pictures of the children gasping for air, the aid workers hosing them down to get the stinging, burning gas off of their flesh and off their bodies. Scores have died. Many scores more are now suffering and on the brink of death. The horror of whole families dying with one last gasp of breath is just unthinkable in today's modern times. But it has happened. It also has been demonstrated by the State Department, at least they have alleged that they have been able through a special intel or intelligence that it was a Syrian plane that dropped this gas attack, not the Americans bombing a gas store place or storehouse or dump of chemical warfare. And we're all aggrieved about it. We know that Russia was heavily involved. And so I have a question for many who are saying that we need a peaceful working relationship with Russia because they are indeed a good nation. And some, as you may well have heard, have gone ahead and said that Russia is a Christian nation, perhaps an Orthodox Christian nation, more so than at least the Christianity that I represent, and that Vladimir Putin is closer to God than I am, one has said to me in so many words, in so many terms. However, this cohort, if you will, of dropping gas on these children may cause one to think twice about making such statements. The other question, the big question about this, however, is what is Tribulation Trump going to do about this? We all know that Russia was involved, and Bashar Assad would not have gassed these children were it not with Vladimir Putin's approval. And then you may also ask, well, why would Vladimir Putin approve of dropping gas or using gas against every other nation's idea about what kind of warfare should be waged? Why would he do that? What would prompt him to do that at this time? And so we have these questions before us. Well, let's go to question, why would Bashar Assad do it? Why would Putin do it? And what's Trump going to do about it would be the latter question. Well, Trump does not know what to do. He has no idea how to do it. And there was a big fight in the National Security Council meeting yesterday about how to respond to this. And McMaster, who is now the National Security Advisor, had a big fight with Steve Bannon, and that's what erupted in Steve Bannon being kicked from the curb on this matter because they had different points of view about how to approach this matter. And it appears that McMaster, the National Security Advisor, won, and Bannon is no longer part of that prestigious National Security Council. He's out and will soon be out the door of the White House unless something else can happen to reinstate him. That's number one. Tribulation Trump has no idea of how to handle this. He has absolutely zero foreign policy experience. Dennis Rodman has more foreign policy experience than Tribulation Trump. And he just thought by his bluster, by his gold hair, and by his privileged position that the world would just lay down and be at peace while he is around, that then really nobody would rise up and do anything. Moreover, he is a puppet of Vladimir Putin. Foolishly, he has thought that by following Vladimir Putin, that the world would be calm and there'd be no problems, et cetera, et cetera. And Vladimir Putin, by the way, I'll have to give Trump this, Trump is not the first one to fall prey to the sadistic forces and powers of Vladimir Putin. George Bush said he looked into his eyes and saw the depths of his soul and said he was a good man. Jezebel Clinton said she wanted to push the reset button with him. And on and on and on, Vladimir Putin has been able to charm like a snake American persons. And so we need to be mindful, however, then why did they drop the Syrian gas? Why did they do it? Well, Vladimir Putin dropped it because it now gives him, quite frankly, he can win world power and become the world power without doing any further, at least major confrontations. If this event can make Tribulation Trump, if this event can actually expose Tribulation Trump, NATO, and the rest of the world as cowards, not knowing what to do in a situation like this, because simply saying you're going to issue more sanctions is a joke. Then there'll be then Vladimir Putin now has the power to do exactly what he wants to do, and nobody will stand against him. ISIS, on the other hand, continues to fight and continues to fight Russia and Syria, and to some degree against America as well. So we're looking at a state that, would this have come to pass if Barack Hussein, the long-legged Mac Daddy Obama, was still in power? I suspect that something on the order like this would have happened. However, the response would be different. The thing that makes this distinguished above what happened with Obama, Tribulation Trump, is that the one thing we can say about Barack Hussein, the long-legged Mac Daddy Obama, he was not in the pocket, though he was a coward and a failure and a liar himself and a lowlife. Obama, he was not in Vladimir Putin's pocket the way Tribulation Trump is. And that's the difference. And so we can figure, well, what does that mean? One is in the pocket and one's out of the pocket. The potential of this gas being dropped by both, because remember, the Mac Daddy drew a red line and then let everybody cross it. And the red line was regarding the use of chemical warfare. I don't want to make a quid pro quo, if you will, or equal comparison. But, you know, we dropped a bomb, a daisy cutter, that was dropped hastily by Tribulation Trump on Mosul and killed over 200 people, and many of them were women and children. Was this potentially a response? Was the dropping of the gas attack potentially a response by Vladimir Putin? Let me say this: the killing of more than 200 innocent children, women and children in Mosul, going back a week ago now, was done because Tribulation Trump has no military experience, poor military advisors. He hit a target without doing the proper kind of military strategy before dropping a bomb the way he did, or understanding whether or not ISIS was using these people as human shields. Tribulation Trump is so desperate for a victory, like he did in Yemen, sending Navy SEAL Ryan to his death, along with the death of 20 other women and children there in Yemen in that attack going back over a month ago. Well, what we see happening now is an ineffective, inexperienced, without forethought, bluster type of military activity, shooting from the hip, creating a lot of havoc, because Tribulation Trump is just saying drop the bombs without the proper advice, intel, and strategy, and not having an appropriate intel agency to deliver to him, nor a group of people around him, such as a Secretary of Defense and a Secretary of State, to properly advise him, and those that are around him are unable to get to him. So we've got conditions going on where Tribulation Trump is trying to show that he's a man by bombing and killing children, and we got Vladimir Putin trying to show he's the world leader by gassing and killing children. We got a mess. We got wars, and we got rumors of wars. And hey, let me remind you, it's only going to get worse. It's only going to get worse. We're headed to 3 days now. And while we respect the idea that if Tribulation Trump says he's not going to tell us what he's going to do or how he's going to respond, really, he only has one option. He only has one option. He only has one option, and that's a military response because of what he's going to do about this gas attack by Bashar Assad. He only has one option. No, he didn't have 4 or 5 different options, this or that or the other. He doesn't have an opportunity to get together, call a council, a war council. He only has one option. And that one option is to send in the cavalry, send in the troops, not the cavalry, but send all of America's forces in against Bashar Assad in Syria and simply bomb them back into the Stone Age. That's his only option. However, he has a major obstacle. And that obstacle, if he does that, Russia gets involved, and he might find himself fighting battles on every continent where America has troops. So the only option Tribulation Trump has is to resign the presidency. That's the only option he has. You can't talk about sanctions. That's ridiculous. More sanctions. Come on. I mean, let's grow up. Tribulation Trump only has one option regarding both North Korea and also Syria. His only option is to resign. But before resigning, he needed to confess his faults and all his sins and all the grief that he's brought upon planet Earth, and then walk on out the door. Other than that, we're just going to see more wars, more attacks. At some point, Tribulation Trump might find himself like Caesar in the Ides of March. Somebody might decide we just cannot allow more lives to be destroyed, more democracy and and constitutional rights and privileges be overrun by an illegal election that was put in place by Vladimir Putin. He only has one option, and that option is for Mr. Trump to resign. And I would add, all of his enablers need to confess, and we need to convene a Nuremberg type of a trial to put the rest of these clowns and rats and lowlifes that promoted him in jail. I'm James David Manning, everybody. I'm the Lord's servant. Resign, Trump, and do it now.